everybody! With this project we're going to be creating a collage. A collage is when you cut out shapes out of something like paper, magazines, photos, or even use other supplies and glue them together to make a bigger picture. We are going to make a collage of a ship sailing in the ocean. The supplies that you'll need for this project, you'll need a piece of paper for your background. It can be a white paper that we color in, or if you have construction paper that's blue, you can use a piece of blue construction paper. You'll also need some white paper for the sails, and then some kind of a color paper for your boat. It can be whatever color that you have at home that you want your boat to be. If you have popsicle sticks, we can also use that for the mast of our boat. You will need a pair of scissors and some glue as well. Gather your supplies and we'll be ready to get started. Okay, I've gathered my supplies I need. I have a paper for my background. I'm going to use a white piece of paper and I'm going to add the sky and the ocean to it. You could use a blue piece of paper if you have that. I'm going to be actually coloring my sky with a crayon, and then I'm going to make the ocean with my paper. So if you don't have paper at home to make the ocean with, you can just color it. Or if you have a blue piece of paper, that's fine too. I have a white piece of paper. This is going to be for my sails. Now yours doesn't have to be this exact same size. Whatever white paper you have at home will work for your sails. I don't have any brown paper at home, so I found some cardboard pieces that I used for another project from a cereal box. So that's what I'm going to use for my boat. Your boat does not have to be brown. It can be whatever color you want. Whatever supplies you have at home will work. If you have a food box like this, that will work. You can use that, or if you have brown paper or any other color that you want your boat to be, that's okay too. If you want, you can use a popsicle stick for the mast. That's the part that sticks up of your boat. You don't have to, but that's just an option that you can use. You're going to need some scissors and some glue. You can use a glue stick or a bottle of glue, or even tape if you don't have glue. So let's get started. I'm going to use my crayon and I'm going to color the sky first. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw the horizon line. The horizon line is the line where the sky and the water meet. And before I color my sky in, I'm going to draw some clouds. So that way I know where I'm not going to put my sky color. Now you could also even add a sun. You could make it a sunset. It's totally your choice. So now I'm going to color in my sky with my blue crayon. Okay, so I've colored my sky in. Now I'm ready to work on my water. Now I can choose to cut pieces of my blue paper, or I can tear them. I think I'm going to tear them just to kind of create a little bit of texture, but you're absolutely welcome to cut yours if you're using paper for your ocean. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and tear a piece of paper off like that, and that's going to be my first part of my ocean. So this is going to be kind of like the waves here. So I'm going to tear another piece off as well. Okay, and that's going to go over here, and that's a little bit too long, but I'll trim it down in a minute. So now I'm going to use my other blue and just repeat and fill in my space with my blue paper. Okay, so now that I've kind of torn my pieces and laid them out, and it's okay if there's some white spaces showing. Sometimes that makes it look a little bit like there's white parts on the wave. If you want that, that's okay. So now that I've got my pieces torn, or remember you can cut yours if you're using paper. If not, you can always just color in your water. Now I'm going to glue them on. I'm going to use a glue bottle, so I'm going to use small drops of glue. If you're using a glue stick or tape, that's okay too. Remember, a dot is a lot. You don't need a lot of glue. So I'm going to turn this over, especially because my paper is a little curly from where I tore it. I'm going to make sure I press and hold for about 15 seconds before I move on to the next piece. That really helps the glue stay well. Okay, so now I'm going to glue the rest of my pieces on. Okay, so now I've got my water glued on to my paper. Now I'm ready for my boat. So I'm going to use that brown cardboard, the brown side from my cereal box. Again, you can make yours whatever color you have, whatever supplies you have at home. If you have brown paper, you can use brown paper. I just don't have brown paper, so that's why I'm using a cereal box. So I'm going to draw my boat first. So I'm going to start off with a straight line across like that. And now there's a couple ways that you can do your boat. You could do a curved line here. You could make it like a trapezoid with straight sides that kind of angle in. I'm going to make mine rounded like this. Now there's a little bit of glue there on the box from the cereal box, so I just kind of skipped over that part. So there's my boat shape. So now I'm going to cut this out. Okay, so I've got my boat shape cut out. And now I'm ready for the mast. Now, if you want to use a popsicle stick and glue the mast on that way, you can, or you can cut a piece of paper out of your whatever you use to make your boat. You could use that, or you can use a popsicle stick. I'm going to need to do a popsicle stick, but remember, you don't have to use one, only if you happen to have them at home. Now, I'm ready to glue these things on. These things are a little bit heavier, the wooden popsicle stick and the cardboard, so I am going to need a little bit more glue than I normally would use for just paper. If you're using just paper, then just use the regular amount that you usually use. Okay, so I've got my boat and my mast glued on now. Now I'm ready for my sails. So we're going to make our sails 3D, which means they're going to pop off of our paper, and it's going to make it look like the wind is blowing through the sails. And we're going to make 2 sails. So the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to take my white paper and I'm going to cut a rectangle. Now this is a little bit too wide, so I'm going to trim some of the side off. Okay. Now you might notice it looks kind of big right now. It looks like, well, how are you going to fit 2 on there? That's because this is going to get some folds and it's going to kind of be bent a little bit. So it's actually not going to look this big when it's all finished. Now my first step is along the 2 long sides, so the top and the bottom, I'm going to fold up a little flap like this. Okay, so I folded up a little bit of a flap, and I'm going to do the same thing on this side. So the 2 long sides. That's going to give us a flat surface to put our glue on. And then when we glue it down, now I haven't put any glue just yet, but when we do glue it down, we're going to kind of curl it so it's rounded and it looks like it's puffing out. And see now it looks a lot like it's a lot smaller, and there's a lot more mass that we can add another sail on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my glue along the flap. I'm going to do a little skinny line of glue. If you're using a glue stick, then just put glue all over the whole flap like this. And if you have to use tape, then you can just kind of slide your tape through and underneath. And I'm going to make sure it's kind of rounded and popping off my paper. And then I'm going to hold it down and press and hold. And I want to hold this for probably about 30 seconds, because if you don't hold it long enough, the glue's not going to stay, because this is 3D. So we need to make sure that we're really holding the glue well for a long time. That will make it stay. And sometimes you get glue that oozes out. Just rub your fingers together, you'll be okay. There we go. And if it pops up, like one side of my sail's kind of popping up a little bit. So, and notice I'm kind of sticking my finger inside of the sail and I'm pressing down on that flap to help press the glue down and keep it, help it stay secure a little bit better. So you may have to do that too. Stick your finger inside of there. Whoops, that bottom part of my sail's coming off, and that's okay. If that happens, I'm going to go back, and you may even have to add a little bit more glue too when you do this. Okay, so there's my first sail. So now I'm going to repeat the steps, and I'm going to do another sail right here. Okay, so now I've got both of my sails glued on. And remember, you may have to go back and kind of press down a little bit to get everything on there really nice and securely, and that's okay. But now my sails are 3D. They're popping off of the page. They're not flat anymore. If you have room, you could even add a little flag. I'm just going to use one of the colors I have handy, but you could use whatever color that you have if you have room. If you don't have room, that's okay too. So I'm going to just glue a little flag at the top of my mast here. And again, you can use whatever color you want. And if you want to, you can use a black marker or crayon or whatever color and add maybe some lines on the boat to make it look like the wood grain on the boat. You could add some waves to your water if you wanted to, and you can maybe add a few birds flying in the sky if you'd like. And now my ship collage is finished. Remember, it's 3D because the sails are not flat. They're popping up off the paper to look like the wind is blowing through the sails. And I'm now finished. I hope you had a lot of fun creating this artwork, and I can't wait to see everybody's creations. Bye!